Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was. Our message has already been delivered today. I can see it all over my mother's face. Rise, Jesse, rise. Give Jonathan Jackson another great round of applause for delivering our family message to the world. Let's hear it for the congressman. There'll be no different message that leaves this service than the one that Jonathan Jackson has blessed us with. I want to thank my sister Ashley, and on behalf of all of our siblings, there is something about the blood of service that Jesse Jackson has given to all of us. Ashley is an extraordinary individual, a very, very talented young lady, and I am so grateful. We're all so grateful to call her our sister. Thank you, Ashley. A gift to us from our Father. To my sister Santita, whose talents are so extraordinary that I've always wondered why they're so contained. We're so grateful for her scholarship, her input, her thinking, her being our oldest sibling. She doesn't like oldest, she likes eldest sibling. We want to thank Santita in a very special way for her leadership. Give Santita a great round of applause. Let's hear it for Santita. And if we can listen once again to 4 presidents yesterday, 3 of whom happened to be U.S. presidents, who did not know my father, we can certainly listen to Jacqueline Jackson. We can listen to Jacqueline Jackson, who cared for my father. Give her the round of applause that she deserves. And last but not least, for 64 years before we heard of progressive nuclear palsy or Parkinson's disease, my father at North Carolina A&T said that he was standing at the cafeteria when he saw a young, fresh woman walking across the campus. And Mommy, at least as the story was conveyed to me, he said something to the effect that you're going to be my wife one day. And Mama said to him, you're going to have to work hard to make that the case, my brother. for 64 years with a particular emphasis since Reverend's diagnosis of initially Parkinson's disease, but a further diagnosis that revealed pseudonuclear palsy. Whether the weather was rain or whether the weather was cold, whether things were going well or things were not going well, the mountaintops that marriages reach as well as the valley that they reach, Jacqueline Jackson has been the enduring force in the ministry of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and she lent him to the world. Give Mrs. Jackson the honor that she deserves. I want to remind everybody that we are burying our father today. And I remind people that I was so grateful that he gave me his name. When he first gave it to me, it was a good name. Jesse Jackson, born March 11th, just a few short days from now. He had traveled from Chicago Theological Seminary to Selma, Alabama. He sent my mother to Greenville, South Carolina. Because he wanted his firstborn son to be born where he was born. When I was born, the Selma to Montgomery March was entering a new phase, and Mama called Selma to find out or to share with my father that his firstborn son had been born, and he was so overwhelmed by the moment that he almost named me Selma. But thank God for Mama's better judgment. And my father had a lot of jokes. My father was a funny man. Those of you who knew my father knew that he was an enjoyable man. Whatever the media has to say about him, it has nothing to do with what each and every one of us knows about who Jesse Jackson was and is in our thinking. Being Jesse is not easy. And so Dad and I had worked out some understanding of why he would do this and why I would do that. And a symbiosis occurred in our personality, because what he did affected me one way and what I did affected him the other way. But such was the name Jesse Jackson. And I remember when I was in prison, and I would think about the man who brought Robert Goodman home, who called the Ayatollah in Iran and asked him to release the Americans. And when he wouldn't, he said, at least release the black ones, because America don't use them as a human shield. America don't care. And the Ayatollah heard Reverend Jackson's voice and released the black prisoners. Jonathan and I were in Cuba when Dad brought, I believe, the Mario prisoners home. And I think Yusuf and Jonathan were in Iraq when they met with Saddam Hussein and brought a 747 filled with human shields home. And I remember Mama when Daddy would come visit me in prison, and I would think about all of the people my daddy could save. came to visit me one day and I said, Daddy, do you think you can get me out of here? He said, I'm trying, son, but don't give up. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. And so yesterday, I began a little statement. And this ain't gonna last but about 4 more minutes because I haven't had a chance to develop it. Howard Thurman. Because the message has already been delivered. Rise, Jesse, rise. I'm specifically hanging around Howard Thurman yesterday because I don't want the media to step on Rise, Jesse, rise in tomorrow's story. It's a calculation. We Jacksons have to think about what we say so we don't have too many messages emanating from the same household. We think about it. Howard Thurman, his family grew up as a sharecropping family, and he had experienced some of the horrific treatment of African Americans in the South, not unlike my father. And his family decided they didn't want young Howard to be a sharecropper, so they put together all of their pennies and quarters and nickels, and they came up with just enough money to make sure Howard Thurman could afford a ticket to go to college. And in the book, which Bill Clinton referenced yesterday with Head and Heart, he dedicates the book to this story. When he went to get his ticket, the broken pieces of his life were in a trunk that his family had given to him with no handles, and he had tied the trunk up with ropes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the conductor said, "You can get on the train, but your baggage can't." He said in that trunk was all of the broken pieces of his life, his pictures, his clothes, all of his memories, and he wasn't leaving his broken pieces behind. So he went over in the corner of the train station and he began crying because his dreams and his hopes had been thwarted about whether or not he could go to college. And crying and tears and mucus all lay in a pile when he wiped his eyes and he looked up, Mama, and he saw a pair of old rustic boots. He continued to look up and he saw a man in some overalls, and he saw an old black man wearing a straw hat, and he said, "Boy, what you crying for?" And Howard said, "Because I can't take my luggage with me on the train, I've decided not to go to college." And the old man reached in his pocket and he grabbed a little leather sack and pulled out a few coins and bought a ticket for Howard Thurman's luggage. And Howard Thurman says he never got the man's name. And all he remembers was his train was going in one direction, and he saw the old man walking down the train tracks until he faded away. He dedicates his autobiography to the stranger who restored his hope and sent him to college. I just want 2 more minutes to tell you about who my daddy was. You see, when I was in prison, I had to ask my daddy if he was disappointed in me. I announced this little old campaign for Congress on his birthday, October 8th, 2025, because I wanted to remember his birthday as long as I live.
You see, when I was in the hole and I looked up and saw the ceiling, I thought about the stranger. And I said to myself, my dad is the stranger. You see, he's the man who can save people from prison and save people and bring them from foreign leadership. He's the man who can go around the world and change it for everybody. He's the man who spoke in the high schools and told young people to stop complaining about what they don't have, to use what they got. He's the one who told them down with dope and up with hope. He's the one who preached your funerals for your families and married your loved ones and helped bring them forward in happily married matrimony. He's the one we turn to at our lowest hours. And so, not only in the life of his family was he hope, but he was a stranger for millions of people who knew not his name. You see, eminent Howard Thurman theologian said that to Howard Thurman, the stranger was the embodiment of God. So when the stranger shows up in our space, I don't care if it's your daddy, I don't care if it's your mama, I don't care if it's someone that you don't get along with, God is trying to tell you something, Judge. I'm done. When Jonathan delivered that message today, on behalf of this family and on behalf of a people, he covered every aspect that I know of my father's life. I am so grateful to each of the iterations of Jesse Jackson that are represented here today. Because we've seen, and you have lifted this family and allowed us the great privilege of representing you in some mighty, amazing places. And so, Santita, to God be the glory for all of the wonderful things that he has done. I am grateful to all of you on behalf of our family. Rise, Jesse, rise.